This is another episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain, and I am here with Nathan Pickel, who is the head athletic trainer at Johnson C. Smith University. Thank you very much, Nathan.
No problem. Glad to have you.
So my first question to you is, what does a head athletic trainer do?
Ultimately, I run our department here. I am in charge of everything from managing our healthcare to insurance claims to, improving our resources that we give our student athletes, whether it's, mental health resources or nutrition, things like that. Just making sure that I stay up on NCAA requirements and that we're providing, ultimately the best healthcare for our student athletes in the department that we can.
Understood. So what led you to become an athletic trainer?
I always grew up playing sports. I played a wide variety of sports. I liked watching sports, football, baseball, all that kind of stuff on TV. And I just had a passion for helping people. I never had any significant injuries like a lot of athletic trainers had, and then they said, in the athletic training room, and that's how I kind of got a passion for it. But I just had a passion for helping people, but I didn't necessarily want to go be a doctor. I didn't want to do that. And so I kind of found a blend of keeping my sport passion, but also being able to help people kind of on a daily basis.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, as a professional who works in sports medicine, what is your process on not only treating the athlete to become in better shape, but how do you work with the mental side of the athlete? You said you worked with mental health as well.
So I think the mental side is just as important as the physical side. Conditioning and fitness and flexibility, range of motion, all those kind of things are important. But being able to train through the mental aspects of sports, whether it's motivation, whether it's using imagery. We use it a lot, mental aspects a lot with coming back from injury. You got to be able to see that you've recovered, that you can do those things that you did prior to getting hurt. So it's a lot of those kind of tactics. And treating them as a whole person, not
Right.
just necessarily
As an athlete.
not just as an injury as well. So
I got you. So how has sports medicine changed over the years? For me, I'm a big football fan, so I know Adrian Peterson, he had that huge ACL injury back in 2011, came back, had a crazy season. If he were an 80s player, his career might have been injured. How has sports medicine changed over the years?
I think we know more, whether it's knowing more about concussions or knowing more about how this affects the body or that affects the body. We see changes from our surgeons all the time. They do a surgery much differently now on an ACL than they did then. We do it less invasively. We understand how tissues change. And so rehab techniques have changed. They've gotten better. We have a more full body approach, I think, to recovery. You may have a knee injury, but you also may need to do other things related to your hip and your core and your ankle to kind of help with that knee injury. So I think just our understanding, we have so much more knowledge and background and information than what we ever had then. There are injuries that end careers, but
Right.
I think there's a lot less chance for that to happen now
That's
than they did
awesome.
then. And Adrian Peterson was a special case, obviously. Not everybody is that lucky, but hopefully with good surgery, good rehab, good continued treatment, and just understanding of our bodies, I think we put ourselves in better spots now. So
Understood. So, for someone in your field, what is it like to see a player injured, but because of your training expertise, they come back to that same or similar condition?
it's never easy seeing somebody get hurt. It's partially job security. That's my job, is when they do get hurt. I never hope for that, though. But I think through the injury, you see them in a low time. You get to kind of be there as support for them in that moment. But then you also get to work alongside them as they put in the effort and become motivated to get back and get healthy. And so, seeing them get back on the field and then also succeed on top of that is always, it's rewarding, but not in a way that's like, I did this. It's just, I'm proud of them for being able to kind of overcome whatever they had to get back out there and do what they're loving. So it's very rewarding in that way for us.
It's helping people. That's one of the passions that you
Absolutely. My goal is not necessarily to be, front and center all the time, or to be seen or necessarily recognized, but to to let them get back to what they're doing to help them achieve that goal. Sometimes they need guidance. Sometimes they do most of the work. We just are there as a way to guide them and provide support as they go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's amazing. I like that. So, in sports, as a head athletic trainer, you deal with different injuries from various amount of sports. What are some of the differences and similarities of treating an injured athlete?
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
As a head athletic trainer, you deal with different injuries from a different amount of sports. Mm-hmm. What are some of the differences and similarities of treating an injured athlete?
So, sports are unique. Football, golf, tennis, basketball. They're all athletes in some capacity, and so I think it gives us a different view of how things look. You may have different mechanics and different movements that you have sport to sport, but I think you treat those athletes uniquely. They may both have an ankle injury, but their needs within a job or within playing tennis or playing football might be different. Mm-hmm. So initially you may treat it the same kind of tactics to get them feeling better, get them moving again. But then once you get to a functional state, you kind of change that so that it's specific to their sport. But I think each injury side by side, you can't just look at it as, oh, this is an ankle injury. You have to look at them as this complete package of personality and motivation and injury, and maybe this ankle injury responded differently than that injury. So each one is a very unique case, and I think we have to just kind of remember to treat it like that. And then once they get back into their sports, understand that the requirements within that sport may be a little bit different, and so just to train through those, as part of the recovery.
Got you. So in sports medicine, it not only helps restoring an athlete back in shape, but also it helps prevent injuries. In your experience at John C. Smith and Barton College, what are some of the most notable injuries you not only restored, but also helped prevent in the future?
So most athletic trainers have had the ACL, they've had the shoulder surgery, those kind of things. Recently I've had a lot more exposure to a couple hip injuries, some pretty good labrum tears within the hip with a basketball player, with a football player. That wasn't something that I had been necessarily exposed to before, but seeing kind of how much tissue or bone was taken out of those hips, to create that problem, and then how they've played since then is exciting, and it's interesting. Everybody is a superstar, for me, I guess. Everybody's obviously got a different level of play, but side by side, they are who they are, I guess. They've had their own situation, and I'm happy when they get back out there. So I like unique injuries, but at the same time, like, sometimes you want run of the mill. I've done this before.
Right. But I got you. And lastly, if someone wanted to become an athletic trainer for a college or professional sports team, what piece of advice would you have for them?
Work hard. Pay attention to details because they matter. Form relationships with your student athletes, with your support staff, with people around you that, especially at a small school like this, I need to rely on a lot of different people. And relationships get you to the next spot that you need to go. It's a very close-knit community. Even if we're expanded across the country, I know people all over the place. It's kind of that 6 degrees of separation, I guess. So keeping those relationships positive, and just maintaining your passion for it, for helping people, and for continuously learning and developing.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Absolutely.
Talking to me for a few minutes.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.